It's a very interesting one in terms of what you and I have talked about now for at least 2 decades. Living a spiritual, mystical life in a day-to-day society instead of in a monastery.
Oh my God, it's mystics out of monasteries. And that's where people are called to be mystics out of monasteries. It's the new calling. The world is the new monastery. Absolutely, the world is the new monastery.
And advice?
Well, you cannot live a true interior life without prayer, without an interior life of reflection, of prayer. And reflection is not about looking at who hurt you. Oh my God, that endless woundedness. Reflection is about looking at your relationship to God and your relationship to life and how you have served others, and your relationship to what you are learning and how you are being inspired, and whether or not you kept your word that day, and whether or not you found yourself slipping into habits of where you could be more empowered, and whether or not you actually stuck to that. And reflection is to take a beautiful teaching and say, I simply want to dwell in that teaching. I simply want to take a beautiful, beautiful teaching. Muktananda, the mystical path, is best not taken, but once taken, you cannot stop. Take that and just say, I am on that path. I cannot stop. I am coming. I am on that path. I cannot stop. It is best not taken, but it's too late. And to just dwell on this fragrance of that. It is best not taken, but you called me, and I am here.
Let's talk about entering the castle.
Oh, now let's go to the other side. My passion for God.
And of course, entering the castle is the blossoming of your work in mysticism.
Somewhere along the line in our lives, the bottom will fall out. And it will fall out in the pattern of the mystic, in that a pattern more akin to mysticism, in that it will fall out with a particular agenda to it. And that's that the person will feel completely as if abandoned. The person will recognize that I can't get through this with anybody's help but my own. What will be required for a person to survive the particular experience that I'm talking about, because it can include a most horrendous experience of death or betrayal or isolation or loss, is that they have to reach for a level of faith in themselves that they never had to find before. In doing that, those who best survive this shed a level of almost artificial values, and they come out of it with this sense of a different respect for what's important in life, including a desire to be of service to others. And this whole journey, this whole archetypal transition fascinated me. And that's what started this, because I decided that I'm going to take a look at this, and I solicited that letters, and I described it, and I said, was fascinated with people who felt that service had become a critical part of their lives, a core part rather. I started to go back to the sacred teachings, the sacred literature, the scripture, Rumi, the Bhagavad Gita, all the great teachings from my years as a student and graduate student, I mean, all that. And I found that as I would sit in my office day after day to try to find just the right scripture, or just the right pericope, or just the right poem or whatever to put between these letters people wrote me, I actually was exaggerating how much time I needed. I would be spending 6-8 hours going through, and what I finally one day realized was that I wanted to exaggerate the time, that I had put myself on a retreat. I had created a say. All I wanted to do was absorb. I had found God. Instead of taking something, as Teresa would say, you look for God in the details. And you take something that's difficult, or you take something that's wonderful, and you exaggerate it, and you think, how wonderful it is to have you in my life. Take one person, take your daughter, take a friend, take your husband, take your wife, and you exaggerate them in terms of their goodness and why they're in your life. Because this day will never come again. And in that, you see them everywhere in your life, and that becomes a living prayer. And you reflect on exactly how you serve them in your life, and they serve you. And then you take a look at how do you make your choices and why. And then you start realizing, I am motivated. Motivated by what? What motivates you? By fear, by insecurity, by the fear of I need other people's approval, which is another way of saying I'm terrified of being humiliated. You better take a look at that. Why? Because this day will never come again, and life is short. And so this is a prayer. This is what prayer and reflection is about. And it slows you down, and it pulls you into yourself, and you think, this is what life is like and once you enter your castle. This is the work you do in the soul. And slowly and ever so deeply, you begin to find what a soothing